Welcome back. You tuned into the Monday edition of the nation's most favorite breakfast show, Good Morning Namibia. Now, as the holiday season approaches, many of us are looking forward to spending time with family and friends, enjoying delicious food and taking a well-deserved break. However, the holiday season also brings about an increase in crime, particularly break-ins and theft. With this in mind, it's important to be proactive in protecting ourselves, our property and our communities. To help us better understand how we can protect ourselves during this time, we are delighted to be joined this morning by Warrant Officer of the Namibian Police Force, that is Silas Shipandeni. Good morning, sir, and welcome back to Good Morning Namibia.
Good morning, Denver. I've been here. It's not like I was away. I'm nice to be here, obviously, like always.
We're enjoying having you back.
It's a pleasure for me to be here as well.
Are you doing well?
I'm doing well, yes.
What are the crimes that we see increase during this time?
Well, thank you for being asking the question of that nature, especially when it's coming to the moment of where we are today. We are talking about the festive season, of course. When you talk about the festive season, you talk about the movement of people. Some people are going out of places, some are coming into places. In this particular, we are talking about Windhoek. And when the issue of crime, so we talk about crime that mostly surround the movement of people, and that is mostly a crime of property. You know, criminals will always want to take advantage of whatever that is not being guarded or whatever that is not being attended to. So opportunities. So the crimes that we are talking about, any crime that has to do with property, that includes a crime of theft, a crime of break-ins, a crime of robbery. So we just mentioned a few. But we are saying that any other crime can happen, of course, because we know it's crime, but mostly, history has told us that, and by experience, we also learned that when it comes to the movement of people, property crimes tend to be a bit on the increase when it's coming to this type of decision.
Very well. What we have heard law enforcement colleagues flag during this time appears to be a surge in housebreakings. And they often warn, as yet also rightfully said, if your property is not properly guarded, there might be an increase in these offences. What ways do criminals often use to gain entry into property?
Well, like I've indicated, criminals normally just take chances, opportunity. When opportunities are presented to them, obviously, they would always want to grab that particular opportunity. So in terms of crimes of property, we do not necessarily only have to focus on break-ins, but we are looking at any other crime that mostly related to the movement of people. That can also include robbery, for example. So in the issue of break-ins as far as it's concerned, we are looking at that criminals, obviously, they know that people are moving, and they have been doing a lot of scanning for quite a while, so they know.
They are embarking on research as well.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. We are talking about criminals. Criminals, obviously, they prepare for what they intend to do. So what we need to learn is that whenever you are leaving your property, you must make sure that your property, if you are not there, there must be at least a neighbor who is next door, or somebody that you trust that can look after your property in your absence. Or at least you must make sure that you have that relation with the police to say that I'm away, so please make sure that you do regular patrols around my premises. That helps a lot as far as the issue of deterring crime is concerned.
Apart from engaging neighbors, apart from engaging law enforcement, what else is it that I can do at the property or on the property to make it less accessible or perhaps attractive to these criminals who've also been embarking on their research?
Yes, the first thing that we always inform residents is that the first thing, you must make sure that at least if you are going away for a holiday, for example, you must make sure that at least there should be somebody that you leave, somebody trustworthy, somebody that you can trust with your property, with your household, whatever that belongs in your house. So we always encourage them to make sure that at least there must be somebody that you live in the house. Otherwise,
does that necessarily deter a would-be offender?
Yeah, number one, it does. But then in the absence of that, obviously, because it's not always that all of us are able to do that. In the absence of that, neighborhood watch is very important. In that case, we make sure that as long as your neighbor knows that you are not there, any movement, whatever nature, any movement or whatever sound, suspicious noise that they happen to experience, they will always want to alert you as soon as possible, or otherwise they will alert the police in your absence. But again, we always inform people to say that it's always better to have that relation with the police. Even in your absence, you must always inform your police, to local police station, to say that I'm going away, so please just make sure that my property is well secured in terms of the issue of patrol and police visibility. But again, on that, we always tell the members of the public to say that we should not expose our movements so much that criminals even knows our whereabouts.
Because they are doing research.
They are doing research, of course.
If I'm a resident on the outskirts of the Namibian capital and I live in a corrugated iron house and I have no boundary wall or fence, what is it that I can do to secure that particular property under those circumstances?
Yes, the issue of boundary wall is not really a main concern here. We are talking about, as much as we are talking about neighborhood watch, for example, we are talking about other crime prevention initiatives that we have in place, and especially as far as the issue of our informal settlement is concerned. Our informal settlement, we have what we regard as a men and women network in uniform against crime, of which these individuals does the same exact function as the neighborhood watch, for example, neighborhood watch groups. So what they do is that they do regular patrol within our informal settlements. And of course, we have other crime prevention initiatives. We also talk about even church leaders against crime. We have business leaders against crime. All these people are based in our community. Wherever you reside, for as long as you have that relation with your people within your community. Otherwise, we always say, have a relation with the police and then engage the police. In any way that you are going away, the police will always make sure that your property is well secured, is well looked after, and we do regular patrol within your locality.
My neighbor informed me that they're going away for the holiday. I observed suspicious movement at their property. We are far away from the nearest police station, and I'm worried that by the time the police may arrive, because resources are also limited, that the offenders would have left with the property of my neighbor. May I effect an arrest in the meantime as a citizen? May I engage the particular would-be offender or offender and interview them as they are breaking into my neighbor's property? What is it that I, as a neighbor, can do?
Well, as far as the issue of citizen arrest is concerned, yes, we can always encourage you to make sure that if that person, you are of the opinion that person have committed a Schedule 1 offense in that particular property of your neighbor, yes, you are empowered by the Criminal Procedure Act, that is Act 51 of 1977.
As amended.
Yes, amended. In particular, we are talking about Section 42 of that particular Criminal Procedure Act, of which it empowers a private person to do a citizen arrest. In that regard, obviously, we always now caution the public to say we must take it with precautions, because as much as you want to do that citizen arrest, you also need to be safe. And as law enforcers, we want to make sure that everybody is safe before you even do that citizen arrest.
Because the offender might be armed.
That is one of the very, very key factors. An offender can be dangerous, and that's why we always caution our public members to say, yes, we can do that, but we must be very, very safe.
People also, whether they go away or stay at home, enjoy the festive season. What is it that I can do to make sure that I stay safe, apart from my property being guarded?
Number one, you need to be, your property within, wherever you go, you must be safe. You must be aware of your surrounding. We always encourage people to say, sometimes you feel you are going back home, like for example, you are going to Katima, for example, but again, you are born in Katima, but you all along the whole year, you only visited Katima once, meaning you have not been there. So you need to make sure that when you go back to Katima, don't feel so relaxed. You must be around, your surrounding must be secure to say that, yes, I'm aware of who is around me. I'm aware that my vehicle that I parked there, it's very much safe. I'm aware that my phone that I just put in my pocket, it's very safe. So what we are trying to say is that wherever you find yourself in this Republic of Namibia or even elsewhere, we must try to be safe as much as possible.
Warren, there's been an increase in, let's call them public service, public transport solutions. Some innovative solutions that are not part of the run-of-the-mill options of public transport. And I learned of an incident yesterday that happened on Saturday evening, where such a provider was pulled over during the wee hours of the morning by the Namibian police because their backlights were not working. They had 3 occupants in the vehicle, all 3 were female, and the recommendation of the officer was that the driver accompanies them with the vehicle to the nearest police station. But the occupants were then asked to disembark and left there. So both police and the operator of this particular public transport solution left the ladies in the street in the wee hours of the morning. What is your recommendation to occupants of such public transport during those circumstances?
Well, I do not want to dwell much on what transpired on the scenario that you are just trying to give. In actual fact, I would want to say that I do not have much insight to it, but what we are trying to encourage our transportation crew is that whenever we are in this business, we must also make sure that our vehicles are well maintained, our vehicles are in a way that roadworthy, so that we can avoid this type of scenarios, like in the case of what you have just indicated there. But again, my recommendation is that if there is any situation where anybody find themselves commuting with this type of transportation, we must also make sure that this transport means that we are using, it's secured. It's secured in a way that they are roadworthy, because it's also my duty to know that the car that I'm going into, this car is roadworthy, and it's in a way that it will take me from that point A to point B. That is from where I'm coming from to where I'm going. So it's also a duty for whoever is commuting. But again, we also want to make sure that our drivers, they must make sure the vehicle that they are using for this transport means, they must be of that standard that they are roadworthy, so that we can avoid those type of scenarios.
Notwithstanding the non-compliance with roadworthiness, certainly the police also have a duty to protect the lives of citizens, and risking the lives of women or their safety during those hours by prioritizing the non-compliance certainly is also an issue of concern. Any final thoughts before you let you go?
Yes, my final thought is that yes, we know it's a very busy season, a festive season, of course. We always want to appeal to our people around wherever we find ourselves that we must be safer, whether on our public roads or even now at our households. Where we are living and where we are also going, we must make sure that our properties are secured. But again, I will always want to say that let's liaise with our local police, even where you are living and where you are going. Make sure that you have that relation with the police. In case anything happens, the police will be able to at least attend to those incidents as soon as possible. Otherwise, we always want to make sure that our police, we are very proactive. We do not want to react to situations, but we want to be proactive. That's why we want to get involved. And again, we are encouraging our members of the public that policing is a shared responsibility, so all of us must get involved.
Tapandula Onene.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for the great work that you and the team continue to do, and may you also be safe this festive season.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
Thank you very much. There you have it, Warrant Officer Silish Pandeni encouraging us to ensure that we remain safe this festive season. We will be right back after a brief break.